everybody! Thank you so much for joining us on this stamp camp using the amazing Country Birdhouse bundle. With the papers, gems, which I can't find of mine unfortunately, and ribbon. It's a beautiful, beautiful combination of products, and I can't wait to show you what we've got in store for the whole of the stamp camp. This is one of the tutorial videos for the make and take packs that were sent out to you. So you should have in your pack a piece of early espresso cardstock. You should have 2 pieces of basic white cardstock. You should have some scraps of basic white cardstock to do your sentiments on, and then a little scrap of early espresso cardstock, and the rest is from your designer series paper, okay? And your stamp set, of course. So we're going to need early espresso ink for this one. And then we're going to need, I've got Flirty Flamingo, Fresh Freesia, Lemon Lolly and Soft Seafoam inks, and you're going to need the associated blending brushes that go with those. Okay, should we get going? First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my piece of, one of my pieces of basic white cardstock. This is going to be the piece for the front. I'm going to create an ink blended background. So I've got white in all 4 corners, and then I'm using a blending brush and the Soft Seafoam ink to create a lovely kind of ombre effect, but radiating out from the middle. So this has had granny apple green on it, and I hope it's not going to transfer too much. I have tried to get rid of it. I'm just going to start in the middle. That is where my birdhouse is going to go. So I've got a little bit of leeway if it kind of looks a little bit scratchy like this. I normally say take the worst off on the paper here, but I haven't actually got an awful lot of ink, so I'm just kind of going to go like this. Doesn't matter what it looks like in the middle, but try and keep it as smooth as you can. I'm still getting some of those scratchy lines, so I'll try and blend those in towards the outside. And you do want to come up fairly high and into the corners. This probably isn't the neatest bit of blending you're ever going to see in your life. I'll be totally honest with you about that. But you've got time, take your time. I probably just am rushing a little bit because I'm very conscious of, I don't know, I get bored very easily, and I probably expect you guys do too, but then whenever I ask people, they say, no, we love watching you do the slow things like colouring in, the fussy cutting. So just kind of trying to ink blend that out. It's going to look a bit of a mess until we get everything kind of put on and together. Just trying to make sure we've got enough ink, but not too much. I think some of that granny apple green is coming through, but not too much at all. Then what we're going to do is grab some Wink of Stella. Okay, and I'm going to flick on some Wink of Stella. Now it depends how, this is probably actually quite empty, this one, which is a bit of a shame. The problem is with tools like this, you can never tell until you get to using them. I should have another one handy. I tend to have quite a lot of these kicking around. There we go. So I'm just using the lid to splatter, so I'm sure you can see this, which is good. That's going to then react with the ink, and it's going to give us a little bit of a sparkly effect as well. So just pop on as much or as little as you want to. Sometimes just tend to find, give it a little squeeze, and that gets some down into the barrel, and then you can flick with that. So again, as much or as little as you want to. And then we can grab the dark soft seafoam blend, or you've got the marker. So whichever of these you fancy. If you're going to need the brush tip on both, and you can just flick. I tend to find the nibs on these are a little bit stronger. Just going to flick some ink all over the background. We're just creating a nice kind of patterned background, and then we're going to leave that one to dry, because that Wink of Stella's got to dry. Okay. Now I've got sparkly hands. Can't complain at that. While I've got my blending tool out, my blending brush, I'm just going to pop another little bit of soft seafoam. This is to die cut my leaves. So this wants to be really kind of pale. I might struggle with this blending brush though. just nice and pale. You can also do this with the alcohol markers as well. I'm going to show you both ways, and then you get to see which you prefer. And obviously if you don't have the right alcohol markers, then that's fine, you can do the blending way, and if you have got the right alcohol markers, you can do it that way. So I'm just going to grab the dies, the leafy dies. There's 4 of them, 1 kind of joined up and 4 separate. Pop that through the cut and emboss machine, Stampin' Up cut and emboss machine. Somewhere I've got an additional plate, there we go. These always seem to stick in my dies. I know there's a bit of a technique, you can use greaseproof paper, I think. If you cut through with your dies onto a piece of greaseproof paper, it can leave a little bit of a waxy residue, and it can help. I've never done it. Is it wax paper? It might need to be wax paper actually. I've never done it, but it can work. So these 4 are ink blended. I'm just going to cut 4 out of this white section here as well. You could of course do these out of cardstock if you've got coloured cardstock. I just tend to find that the cardstock can be quite dark in comparison to the colours that you'll get with the blending brush or the alcohol markers. They tend to be quite dark cardstock colours, which is great if that's what you want, but if you want them a bit lighter, it's nice to know this technique. So I've got 4 of these cut out just in white, and then we'll bring in the alcohol marker. It's the Stampin' Blends. Probably should have done some of these pre-prepared, but never mind. And then you can just colour in. So I would normally try and give this a little bit of definition, but soft seafoam is such a light colour that it doesn't really notice. And you just literally colour over them with the brush tip, and keeping the kind of brush as kind of horizontal as possible, and you just colour over. Can you see the colour difference I've got between those two? And that's probably just because I had some residual Granny Apple Green ink left on my brush there, but that's okay. Leaves in nature are not all uniform colour, so I am good with that. And then just because it's a little bit easier, I'm going to do the rest of those kind of bits that we need with the alcohol markers, okay, but you get to use whatever you prefer. So we've got 4, excuse my arm, we've got 4 flower dies, kind of 2 different shapes and 2 different sizes, so bigs and smalls, kind of rounded and a bit more crinkled. So we're going to cut all of those out of white cardstock, and we're going to cut that a few times. We're going to need a few of those. For those of you that are precise, I am not in my crafting. We need 2 of the big round ones, 1 of the big small ones, 2 of the we need 1 of these, 2 of these, sorry, 2 of these, 1 of these, and 2 of each of those. But if you just cut 2 of everything, you'll be fine. I don't know why I didn't just say that, to be honest, because it would have been much easier. So 2 of everything, and then you'll have enough flowers to work with. This isn't as heavily adorned as my bonus project, in which I've die cut lots of these little flowers. They're so lovely, but a little bit fiddly. So one of those we'll go through again, and probably just need to cut that off like that. That means I've got a bit of cardstock for my sentiments and my bird. Now, whatever kind of cardstock you've got should be enough in your pack to make all of these cuts, okay? I just haven't actually prepared my cardstock in accordance with my own cutting directions, so I did work it all out. And then forgot that I was probably supposed to keep in line with that. I'm not very good at following rules. When it comes to my crafting, anyway, that's a complete lie in normal life. I am such a follower, a stickler for rules. But in crafting, that's my kind of one outlet. I'm like, there's no rules. Here I can just go wild. I can do whatever I want. Which is basically true. As long as you're using your own supplies. If you're using someone else's supplies, you might want to be a little bit more kind of careful. Anyway, we digress. So we've got Flirty Flamingo, light and dark, and I'm just going to pop a little bit of, I'm going to pick this one and this one, and I'm just going to pop a little bit of dark in the centre of these flowers. This is what I'm all about, where you can blend a little bit, just that soft sea foam. It's such a light colour you don't really notice. And you can either blend with a bullet tip, or you can grab out that brush tip. Whichever you prefer, entirely up to you. So that was with the bullet tip, or you can grab the brush tip and just go over the whole lot. Brush tip's a bit quicker and easier, but mine do tend to fray sometimes, so pop those to one side. And then you've got Fresh Freesia, which I'm going to do one of these and one of these. I'm only kind of picking the same ones as my tutorial picture. So you can either go wild or you can follow along. And if you don't want to colour your own fingers, you can use a little pokey tool to hold these down rather than your fingers, but I'm not too fussy. Messy hands is a sign of a good day. And then we're going to do 3 yellow ones. 1, 2, 3, and then that one little one is spare. You could add him on if you wanted to, but we're going to pop him out the way there. And this is the Lemon Lolly, which is a beautiful colour. I've actually just picked up the brush tip there, which I don't normally do. Okay, so we put all those to one side. Our background is drying nicely. Then we've got a little bit more stamping to do, and then we've got some die cutting to do. So we've got the birdie that we need, and we're going to stamp in Early Espresso, and then we've got the Hello Friend stamp and the Happy Birthday stamp. I'm going to grab the Early Espresso. It will get a bit messy around here. This is the second video I've just filmed in quick succession, and I probably should have tidied up in between. So we're going to go one bird, one Hello Friend, and one Happy Birthday. Okay. That's everything. Yep. So the birdie we're going to colour in using Fresh Freesia and Lemon Lolly. It's a bit of a weird combination, but I think he looks cute. So what we're going to do is grab the Fresh Freesia blends, and we're going to add some Fresh Freesia here, and I'm going to go in with then the Lemon Lolly, and I'm going to go dark Lemon Lolly underneath here. Kind of come out into that head area, and then we're going for the light Lemon Lolly under here and down into the legs and the beak, and then we're going to grab the light Fresh Freesia, go over the whole lot Not over, actually don't go over the whole lot, just go over the bit, the top bit. But we are going to start to blend in that yellow to the purple. So I did that just by bringing a couple of streaks down, and then this is the light lemon lolly. You can go back in and blend that some more. And that's how you would get that cute kind of blended area between the fresh freesia and the lemon lolly, which are two very different colours. But I think he looks cute. You get that quite a lot in nature, flowers and things. A lot of pinks blend into yellows in nature. It's really interesting to kind of study the flowers and look at the colours. I don't think I've ever seen a purple bird quite like this. Certainly not a typical kind of English bird, which this set reminds me of. Like, perfect for my business name, the Songbird Stamper. Which, if you didn't know, came about because of the quote, and it's a really nice quote. And I'm just going to fussy cut these out. I'm just going to fussy cut the friend out of this one, not the hello. A quote that I saw or heard, and it basically says, the songbird doesn't sing because it has an answer. It sings because it has a song, which to me meant that you don't have to have everything together in life to show and share who you are. We are human, we are imperfect, and we don't need to have the answers all the time. But sing loudly and be you anyway. And it was a time of kind of great change for me. My mum had not long ago passed away, and I was just kind of venturing out into the world, making friends, because when I was in the forces, you don't really get the opportunity to do that. I wasn't home long enough to build up a network. And I was scared, you know. I was like, I don't know how to make friends. I've really had to do this. So yeah, that was the quote that led me to my business name being the Songbird Stamper. And this one here, this is the happy birthday. I am literally just going to cut this out as straight as I possibly can, which is always a bit of a challenge. And then up, and then down, and then up and then down. And then that should be, oh no, we've got to do the birdhouse bits. I was going to say that should be all of our components, but we're missing the most important thing. He needs a little house. So first thing I'm going to do is cut this little piece of, it's a bow. It took me a while to figure out what it was, but it's like it's a hanging birdhouse, this one. You've got a stand and then you've got a bow. So I'm just going to cut this out of early espresso cardstock. If you wanted to remake this and you didn't have early espresso cardstock, but you have got the ink pad, all you need to do is blend a little bit of ink onto a bit of white, like I showed you at the beginning, and you can make any kind of coloured paper that you want. So there's our bird, kind of a birdhouse holder string thingy. And then you've got two bits of paper that we're going to use, is this one and this one. So on the back of these is that and that. That might help you identify them. But as long as you've kind of got a bit light wood and dark wood, you will be absolutely fine. Oh, that might be a lie actually. This is where I'm not very good. If you use this one as the dark wood one, then we can cut a little piece out of the reverse, and that way I wasn't using kind of both. But like I say, honestly, as long as you've got dark wood and light wood, you will be absolutely fine. And you should have plenty of paper. These are only using a little bit. So I'm going to cut this one, and I'm going to cut it with the grain going along. Excuse me. And that is going to go there, and I'm just going to trim around that. So we've got one of those. We've got a piece of this, which I'm just going to cut out of the corner here. This is the most challenging bit, I think, cutting this so you don't chop your finger off. One of those. I'm going to cut this one out of this, but we're gonna die cut it on the reverse, but we can cut it this way too. Okay, and then we just need the birdhouse itself, which is this big one there. Oh, and we need one more bit as well. One more bit. I show you. Okay. So cut that out and then we can die cut all them. So what we're going to do is grab this little die, and this little die's got a little kind of, it looks like a steering wheel, like a little mini steering wheel for a bird, and it's got a little hole in the middle, so it cuts out two things, and that is going to sit around about there when we put that through the die cut machine. And then we're going to cut all of these bits out, and then one more thing. Okay. So sometimes the best way to do this is to place it all on the platform. So line that all up, line that one up in the middle. You need to leave enough room so that your top and bottom kind of thingies will sit on. So maybe a little bit higher than that actually, about there. It's not the end of the world. However you do it, it will come together. Pop all these bits on. And that one's going to go on there. Then put your plate on. And then obviously if it moves, you've got time to correct it. There you go. And then take that all across to your cut and emboss machine. I mean, I don't know. This is why I don't die cut very often. I'm a bit cat-handed. If you ask my dad, I'm very cat-handed. He's told me that ever since I was a kid. And I'm better fussy cutting. Okay. My dad always used to say, if there's a difficult way to do something, I will find it. But I'm incredibly determined, read stubborn, and I will make things work. But I need to do them my way. Yeah. So he's right, he's totally right. Okay, they're all going to go like that. We've got that hole cut out. So can you see it cuts a hole out? And it gives you that little piece there, which you can use if you choose to. We're going to use that one. Oh, I didn't actually cut this. I cut this the wrong way, didn't I? Never mind. You need to cut that the other way. You can just flip it over. Didn't really notice. And then on the dies, we've got this tiny little hole, which we're going to cut out of this scrap here. I wasn't thinking when I put it through, and I forgot that piece. Okay. And then that's all of our components. So now we can build ourselves a birdhouse. I like this, isn't it fun? I'm not very good with kind of DIY and things like that, but here I get to feel like I've actually made something. So what we're going to do is we are going to put some glue on here and then stick that one along the front there. Then we're going to grab this one and we're going to put some glue up and down. So much quicker as well. I mean, I'd love to be good at woodwork. Just get thrown out of my design and technology classes for being a pest. I just didn't really see the point of. it. And now, later in life, obviously I do. But isn't that the same with a lot of things? Okay. Now I wish I could build something. Okie dokie. So we're going to put this little hole, this little bit down here. And then there's only one last thing that we need, because our background is basically dry. If we were to put this birdhouse straight on here, we're going to see the green through the middle, and that's not what we want. So we're going to grab back our design series paper, and we're literally just going to cut a square. It's completely random, no kind of, as long as it's bigger than your hole. So no measurements, just grab a square, flip your birdhouse over, put some glue around the edge of the outside of the hole, and then when you turn over your little birdhouse, you can stick that on dimensionals. So this background is a lot more granny apple green than I would really like. So do take your time, or use a clean brush. Like, take your time to clean your brush or use a new brush. I really ought to get a little bit more storage for my brushes maybe, and then have one for light green and one for dark green. So dimensionals on there. With the background you can also just flick plain water. I love that technique, but it can be a bit much with the wink of Stella as well, so see how you feel, but you can just flick plain water on and it reacts with the ink that is on the card already. So stick that one down. You've got your little bow. So what I'm going to do is put some glue down this bit and then on this bit, all the way to the top probably, and then stick that down so it sits there, comes out the top, and then glues down flat like that. And then you can use your snips just to trim off that little bit on the top. And then it literally is just a case of assembling everything together. So you've got a little birdie. Nothing else is on dimensionals, I don't think. So he's going to go just there like that. Oopsies. It's a little drunk bird. And then the word friend is just going to go underneath there like that. Again, you can take your time. I'm getting a bit of a sticky mess. The only other thing that is on dimensionals actually is the edge of the word happy. So I'm just trimming a tiny slither of this so that I can put that over the end of that word happy birthday. A bit of glue on the end, and then that can go up here. Happy, and then birthday. So get loads of glue when you don't want it and no glue when you want it. Typical, isn't it? Happy birthday. And then pop on some of your flowers. This is just with the wet glue. It takes a little bit of a while to dry. It doesn't help that my fingers are literally really sticky right now. So just pop a blob on. You can also use glue dots for this. Well, I'm sorry about that, everybody. I just had a bit of a technical malfunction. So just while I was away there, I have just finished sticking down all of those flowers and leaves, and we're ready to start assembling our card. So we've got our card base. And I'm just going to stick this straight onto the front using that wet glue. Like I say, it's always glue when you don't want it. That's going to go on there like that. I just love how that pops against that dark background there. So that's the outside done. Now all we have to do is decorate the inside. We've got a piece of cardstock here. This is just normal basic white. And it's measuring 14 by 10. Again, it's just a normal layer. Your measurements are in your instructions and you should have been provided with it in your kit. Little piece of your paper, so just cut that from your DSP, and it's 1.5 by 10, or just, it's about ½ an inch by, oh gosh, I can't remember that measurement, whatever your kind of inside of your card measurement is. And then I've got a block. We've got the ink pad somewhere, and we've got the stamps. What I'm going to do is grab, hoping you have the best day ever, and our little birdie again. So I'll put the birdie on first because he's already inked up. He's just going to sit right above our paper there. And then this one, you can see what I'm doing. Relatively straight, which is a minor miracle. And that is going to go straight on the inside of our card. Like so. That finishes up my tutorial card for your make and take. I hope you really enjoyed that, and I hope you enjoy making the rest of the cards too, or the projects that you've got. Please do share them on the Facebook group. We all love seeing what you create, and to know that these have been greatly received. And I'm sure any kind of friend that you've got will be delighted to receive a handmade birthday card. Thank you so much for popping by. Apologies once again for my technical difficulty. Hope you have the best day ever. Bye for now.